Thank you, Chris and Lisa. It's beautiful. It's amazing how eclectic the music selections are here at this church. It's just incredible. So thank you. So let's prepare ourselves to receive the message today from Reverend Ogun Holder. In some ways, Reverend Ogun needs very little introduction. He's been here many times before. But let me say a few words for those of you who have perhaps not had the opportunity to be with Reverend Ogun. So Reverend Ogun is a humorous and engaging speaker. He speaks all around the country, and he is also the executive director of a ministry called Unity for All, which is primarily an online nonprofit ministry of global transformation through spiritual education, empowerment, and engagement. He also serves as the associate minister of Unity of Gaithersburg in the Washington, D.C. metro area, where he serves with his wife, Reverend Jennifer. So among his many titles, Ogun could be known as a speaker, a teacher, an author, an online radio show host, a blogger, a musician, a husband, a parent, a social media consultant, and a self-proclaimed geek. His first full-length book, Rants to Revelations, and unabashedly honest reflections on life, spirituality, and the meaning of God, was published by Unity Books in the fall of 2012. And then a year after that, he launched Rants to Revelations radio show on Unity Online Radio Network. It's a really fun show, and for those of you who don't know, that Unity does have its own online radio. You can pull it up anytime on your computer and listen to really fabulous Unity programming. So originally from Barbados, Ogun moved to the U.S. in 1994 to pursue a music therapy degree, and he went on to have to work in the music therapy field. He's also an experienced church music director, having served in multiple Unity communities in that fashion. So he does currently live in the D.C. area with his wife and beautiful daughter named Joy. You can connect with Ogun, read his blog, listen to his talks at ogunholder.com, but right now you can listen to him right here at Unity on the River, Reverend Ogun Holder.
Aloha. You know, that also means goodbye, so I'm not sure if you're telling me hello or... But as I just found out, when we say it in the goodbye way, it simply means to stay in the presence of the person. I gotta let you know that every time I have been here and left here, I've taken your presence with me and stayed in it. So it also always feels like a homecoming when I return. The number one question that people have been asking, I know we're going to do a Q&A later, but let me just get the number one question out of the way so that nobody has to worry about it later. You're from Barbados. What are you going to do about the cold? If every Sunday's Hawaiian Sunday, it'll be all right. We bring the warmth with us, okay? Congratulations on being the first people to get me into open-toed shoes under 70 degrees. And by the way, when my 14-year-old daughter heard I was wearing open-toed shoes, she says, "We gotta paint your toenails." So yes, there is no limits to which I will go. Just letting you know that. It's perfect timing. It's perfect timing that it is your Sacred Service Sunday, and the theme is the Hawaiian theme, because the message that was on my heart to share and in my consciousness at the time was this Hawaiian message of ho'oponopono. And ho'oponopono is this ancient Hawaiian forgiveness process. It's more than forgiveness, though. There's no actual real transliteration for the word. What it really means is, here's some ideas of what it means: to put to right, to put to order, to revise, adjust, amend, regulate. It's the ancient process that when people in families had disputes or disconnections, this is what they employed to bring it back to a state of harmony. It's a forgiveness process. It's a love process. Charles Fillmore, the co-founder of Unity, talked about love as the great harmonizer. This is what Ho'oponopono is about, bringing harmony. And how it became known really to the rest of the world from that small, tiny group of islands is through the work of Dr. Hugh Lan. See, about 30-some years ago, there was a clinic at the state hospital in Hawaii for the mentally insane. This place was where the worst of the worst went. Think of a crime that people were ruled mentally unstable enough, and this is where they went. It was a bleak place. It was a place where the staff turnover was not yearly, but monthly, sometimes even weekly. It was a place where the prisoners were in such a state of despair that for the most part, they were kept indoors and shackled. Someone who worked there said it was such a horrible place that when they tried to paint the walls, the paint wouldn't even stay on the walls. The energy was just despair. And then along comes Dr. Hugh Lan. And he was an interesting fellow. You know, he would walk in, kind of all a little bit cheerful. He'd show up late to work. He'd sit in his office all day, and all he'd do is ask to see the files of the patients. And when he first showed up, you know, the nurses and the people who worked at this hospital were like, you know, oh, great, here comes another guy who's going to roll in with all his newfangled ideas and is going to try and implement change, and then in about 2 months, he's going to suddenly, mysteriously get a better job somewhere else and take off and leave us here. And, you know, they didn't take much notice of him. And then when he would just sit in his office all day, they were like, oh, well, there's no hope for this guy. But then they began to notice after a few months something happening. All of a sudden, the gardens that were in the prison compound that were just overrun with weeds, all of a sudden, someone was pulling those weeds and planting stuff. The tennis courts that had fallen into disrepair were suddenly being cleaned up, lines repainted, and staff started playing tennis again. And suddenly some of the prisoners were playing tennis, and they were finding that a lot of the prisoners who needed to be shackled all the time were suddenly not needing to be anymore, and they needed less drugs to keep them sedated, and they were outside enjoying the time with the staff as well. And then they noticed that the prisoners needed to be admitted to this clinic for shorter and shorter periods of time, and some of them were actually leaving because their state had improved so much. In fact, within 4 years, there were so few prisoners at this clinic that it made no financial sense to keep it open, and they closed it. And along the way, as these improvements were happening, the attitude was changing, and the paint was staying on the wall, they would ask, well, what was different? And they realized that the difference was this man. And they would ask him, what are you doing? You're not doing anything. You're not sitting with the prisoners. You're not talking to them hardly ever. What are you doing? He says it's the practice of Ho'oponopono. He sat in his office with the file of the prisoner and looked at that, held them in his heart, and said the 4 steps of this ancient ritual. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. I love you. Thank you. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. I love you. Thank you. This was all he did. This was all he did. This is the practice of Ho'oponopono. You know, in Unity, we talk a good game. We talk about oneness, and we want to transform the world. We talk about being connected with everyone. But what do we actually do about it? What do we actually do about it? Fair warning, this may not be a pleasant feel-good talk. It may not be. Because we are called to a higher responsibility of transformation. And transformation isn't just about coming here on Sundays and meditating at home and connecting with each other in the places we feel safe and comfortable. It's about taking it to another level. And the ways we start can be with this Ho'oponopono process. The first step, I am sorry. This is the hardest one, because when we can get this one, the rest are simple. I am sorry is not apologizing the way we usually say. When we say I'm sorry to somebody else, it's usually because we're maybe admitting we did something wrong, or a real not feeling empathy for the situation they're going through. In this case, I am sorry is acknowledging a level of responsibility. A level of responsibility that this world that we live in is the way it is because we live in it. We are all, on some level of consciousness, responsible. Now, when I say responsible, I don't mean it's our fault. There's a difference between responsibility and blame. There's a very distinct difference between responsibility and blame. Blame and fault and guilt is, I did it. No, responsibility is that this is under my charge. Our third unity principle, we create our life experiences with our thoughts, feelings, and beliefs. It works on the individual level, and it works on the mass consciousness level. Again, Uni's co-founder Charles Fillmore talked about this over 100 years ago when he talked about the race consciousness, and he didn't mean race in terms of ethnicity. He was talking about the human race, that we are individuals, but as a collective group of people, there's a consciousness that vibrates through us as a collective as well. And if we truly believe these teachings, what we hold in our consciousness, both as an individual and as a group, that is what we will see in front of us. So that I am sorry is simply saying, I acknowledge that I am part of the collective consciousness that has created this world that you are in. I'm sorry. It's the beginning of the shift in consciousness. I am sorry. Please forgive me. What does it mean to forgive? Forgive, when we look at that word, it really means to give another feeling, experience, thought for what we are experiencing. I'd like to say that I experience a feeling of deep, profound love every moment of every day. I'd be lying to you if I said I did. So I'm not going to lie to you. But I don't. Things happen to knock me off my center sometimes. I had a perfect experience of this yesterday morning, and as I was driving over to the workshop yesterday morning, it's 10 a.m., I'm in the convertible, the top's not down. Thank you, Jen, by the way, for lending me your car. I'm in the Mustang convertible, but the top's not down because I'm not that brave. And it hadn't quite warmed up yet. But I'm driving, and I got a visit from what I like to call my fraud complex committee. You know, the fraud complex. Some of you may not have this, God bless you, some of us do. And my fraud complex is one day they're going to figure out they don't know what I'm talking about, and then it's over. I don't know who they are, but they are going to find out. So my fraud complex committee paid me a visit and said, what if nobody shows up to your workshop? And I was like, well, hey, fraud complex committee, I haven't seen you for a while. Where you been? Welcome back. And we had a dialogue on the way over. I've learned how to talk with them because here's why. My fraud complex is never going to go away. It's never, ever going to go away because it's embedded in me somehow, somewhere along the line. And we talked about this a lot at the workshop. If you didn't make the workshop yesterday, I think it's archived online. Go take a look at it. What we talked about was when we were like yay high. We received messages, whether they were intentionally sent or this is how we interpreted them, that taught us how to deal with the world. And for some reason, that's a message that I picked up. That message of insecurity. And it's never going to go away, but I have learned how to befriend it. I've learned how to reframe it. I've learned how to give myself another experience and thought for it. I've learned how to forgive it. So yesterday when the fraud complex committee was saying, hey, what if nobody shows up at your workshop? What's that saying about you? I said to my committee, I've been here before. I've given 2 workshops. People know what they're getting with me. I don't blame them for sleeping in. I would too. So it may be the highest form of compliment if they don't show up to my workshop. Thank you very much. Please forgive me is shifting to a place of saying, I'm going to give another emotional, mental, physical, consciousness, spiritual experience for what this is. So where you may experience fear, you begin to give love. Where you may have experienced lack, you begin to give thoughts of abundance. This is the forgiveness shift. So I'm sorry. Please forgive me. I love you. Love is one of these words we throw around a lot in unity. Like we throw it around so much that I think it's lost meaning. We throw it around like when people ask, how you doing? I'm fine. Love has become fine. Love is the new fine. You know, they say 40 is the new 50 and 30 is the new 40. Love is the new fine. Because we throw that word around so much. What is it to truly love? Truly love is to realize that we're coming from that place where behind what things look like, behind the fear, behind the violence, behind everything, we truly believe, we truly believe that there is only one. Oneness. Godness. And if there is only oneness, then it's us too. That's our first unity principle. When we say God is absolutely good everywhere present, what we're saying is, in the back of all things, there's oneness. And no matter what we do it from that consciousness. You and the author Eric Butterworth, perhaps my favorite quote of all time, he says, we don't pray to God, we pray from the consciousness of God. We make that realization that all our thoughts, our beliefs come from a place of knowing that behind all things is that power and that presence that is ultimately uniting us, making us one, bringing harmony, love, the great harmonizer. So when we say in this whole process, I love you, we are recognizing that we are ultimately in that oneness with you. And if there is only one, then there is nothing else but it. There is no me, there is no you. In the back of everything is simply God. And we're in that too. We are that too. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. I love you. And thank you. Gratitude. We all know about the power of gratitude to transform our lives. Gratitude is simply that which allows us to see the good that has always been there. When we give thanks, we don't have to look for the good. The good's there. The good's always been there. Hello, good, everywhere present. It's always there. But we forget to notice it sometimes. because everything else looks a little scarier. And other people look a little scarier. And the things they do are a little scarier. And the package we ordered from Amazon went on the wrong doorstep and we didn't get it in time and we get upset. Good is there. It's amazing what throws us off our center. This is what Dr. Len did. He sat in his office. Every patient. He repeated those 4 statements. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. I love you. Thank you. When we talk about transforming the world, it literally starts in our consciousness. Let's practice. I got an idea. Let's practice that right now. It's good enough to say these things. I could say these things till I'm blue in the face, but let's actually do it right now. So I want you to think of a situation. We'll make it easy. Think of somebody else's situation. Let's leave ourselves out of this. Let's not do this to ourselves just yet, to warm up. So it could be a situation with a loved one. It could be a situation on the news. It could be a situation on the other side of the world. I don't know. Think of something. Think of something. Something that, in your opinion, there seems to be an absence of the presence of God. We know there's not, but it just looks that way. And if you're comfortable, I invite you to close your eyes. And just allow yourselves to breathe into your heart space. Your heart space, that's like the symbolic, metaphorical center of your being. Allow your breath to bring you down there. And hold in this situation in your mind and in your consciousness. First, we say, I am sorry. Acknowledging that as part of the human race, as part of the consciousness of this planet, we are in this too. And it's our responsibility, it's our sense of stewardship. And it may be our fears, and it may be our embedded messages that help contributed to this consciousness that led to this less than pleasant experience. We're in it too. So we say, I'm sorry. Let's just sit with that for a moment. Hold that situation in your mind. Breathe into it. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. I acknowledge my part in this, and I am ready to transform my thinking and my consciousness. I'm ready to see a different experience for me and for you. I am sorry. Please forgive me. Breathe into that forgiveness energy. I love you. I now see you from a place of the divine love, the divine harmony, the divine oneness. That there's no difference, ultimately, between me and you. That the divine is fully present at every point in the universe. The point of me and the point of you, the point of this situation. There is divine love. I love you. Thank you. The energy of open-hearted gratitude that you and this situation are in my life also to allow me to shift. See the gift that this is. I see that it is mine and my responsibility to shift me so that we can shift this. Sorry. Please forgive me. I love you. Thank you. You're welcome to open your eyes. And here's the great thing about Ho'oponopono. The other person doesn't need to know you're doing it. It's probably better if they don't. Don't call them and tell them. Because truly, that's just your ego needing attention. Don't call them and tell them. See, you're going through a hard time. Don't worry. I'm Ho'oponopono in you. No. No. Not necessary. There's only one. They'll feel it. So here's your homework. You didn't know I was giving you homework, but you have homework. Here's your homework. Go practice this. Go practice this. Go live this. And you're going to be amazed at what happens to you. Because there's the other thing. You want to go home, you want to practice, and then you're going to look in the paper and see where the thing got fixed. This is about you. This is about transforming ourselves. Because when we transform, if each and every one of us transform our consciousness, does it not follow the whole world will be transformed? Yeah. So this is about us. And then we take it from this inner experience and we bring it into the outer experience of action. And this is what sacred service is about. Sacred service, I know today is our sacred service fair, and it's not about the church trying to get volunteers and trying to get free labor out of you. This is not what it's about, okay? I know some of you are thinking that. I was a congregant once, too. That's what I thought. It's not about that. Through processes like Ho'oponopono, through sacred service, this is how we discover the best of ourselves. When we look in the Bible at Jesus, who in unity we look to as our way shower, not the great exception, but the great example, he was clear about being in service and receiving service. He not only washed his disciples' feet, but he allowed his feet to be washed as well. He not only break bread with the disciples, but he fed 5,000. When we step into service, selfless, thankless service. Because that's the other thing. We know we want to be thanked. We know we want to be recognized. Look what I did. I've been on this team for so long. Look what I did. When we step into selfless, thankless service, our hearts get cracked open. And people say, yeah, your heart cracked open so the light can come in. No, the heart cracks open so the light can get out. That's why we serve. So our light can get out and illuminate some of the dark corners of this world. Ho'oponopono, sacred service. That's how we do our third unity principle, creating our life through our experiences. It's not about just, having magical thoughts. There's no magic in this. That third unity principle has sometimes been abbreviated as thoughts held in mind produced after their kind. If I had it my way, we would just strike that from our lexicon. When I change and shift my consciousness, That's where it starts. When I shift my consciousness, everything in me will change. And when everything in me changes, everything around me changes. And I see everything differently, experience everything differently. And when I experience you differently, you are also transformed. That's what that third principle is saying. So you have homework, you also have a present day assignment. I'm just piling stuff on you, aren't I? So you have your homework, but your assignment today is take the few minutes to go see how you can be of service. Not because the church needs it, not because things got to get done. Do it for you. Do it to transform you. Do it to open your heart. Do it to step into the discomfort of it. We don't often like the discomfort, but in the discomfort is where the transformation happens. Do it for the discomfort of it. Because let's all admit, we're working with other people. It's going to get messy. Everything would be perfect if there were no people involved. But we don't have that luxury. We got to work with other people, and it's going to get messy. But you know what? That's when the miracles happen. The miracles happen in the messiness of life. So go do some forgiveness work. Go get messy serving other people. Aloha. I got it. So we're going to step into time of meditation. I know I took you in a kind of a mini one earlier, but you can't ever spend too much time in the silence, right? So if you're comfortable, I'm going to invite you to ground both feet on the floor, get the purses, the books, the bulletins, all that stuff out your laps. Perhaps let your hands just rest on your lap. If you're comfortable with the palms up, symbolic gesture of openness, of receptivity, of surrender to Spirit. We're going to sing into meditation right now.
Thank you.
Separation, God is everything. I'm living in the love that is the truth, and I'm lifted up as I surrender, and there is only one. I am awakening. I am awakening.
There is only one love. There's only one power, one presence. There is only one. Allow yourselves to sink into that truth. With each breath, bringing your attention and intention into that one truth. There is only one love. There is only one God. There is only one. If you will, envision that truth as a small ball of light deep within the center of your being. That small ball of light is there. Waiting to shine its rays out. So as we breathe, allow ourselves simply to envision ourselves just opening, hairline crack by hairline crack. The outer shells of fear and resistance and embedded messages and wishing it was different and blame. With each breath, see those within us gently cracking open so that that light of truth within begins to seep out. With each breath, that light intensifies and grows. With each breath, we widen those cracks. This is our life's journey. This is why we are here. To allow that light of truth, that there is only one love, there's only one God, that there's only one. To infuse every corner of our being, every corner of this world. Till there is just light. One love, one God, one. Let us take this into the silence. One love, one God, one. One love, one God, one. We return our attention to this time in this place and with each other. We take this with us, this deeper truth, this deeper knowing, this experience of our inner reality becoming our outer experience. One love, one God, one. And so it is.
So I said this morning as we gathered, those of us who are here in sacred service before church gather to bless the space and to bless the church, and we do a prayer.